Chapter 12. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. A good man obtaineth favour of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoureth himself and lacketh bread. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desireth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and the pathway thereof there is no death. Here in chapter 12 we have one of the gems, well, a number of the gems of this whole book here. And verse 1, Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. In other words, those people who love learning and instruction. And instruction is meant as sort of face-to-face learning of how to be wise. These people love knowledge, but it's more than just knowledge, it's wisdom of how to do it. That's what instruction is. Instructions for the Hebrew is more than just knowledge of facts. But he that hateth reproof, somebody who is not willing to tolerate any kind of correction to anything that they've done wrong, is brutish. And that's the kind of person who will lash out at anybody who says that they did not like what he did. He will lash out. In verse 4, a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. Now, obviously, if you were ashamed of something your wife said or did, it wouldn't turn your bones rotten, but what it would do is it would make you pain. It would make you feel hurt. Just as rottenness in your bones, or we might think of it as arthritis or something, would make you ache. And it would make you feel less than you should. You'd be embarrassed to go out. You'd have an agony of your heart. You'd feel as though things were not quite right. And this is what they're talking about here. Got to remember, these are images in the Middle Eastern tradition, not necessarily thought processes in the Western Greek tradition. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver him. So what they're talking about is people who are wicked talk about how they're going to get things. And one of the best ways for them to get things, they thought, was to murder people. If you murdered people there and nobody saw it, there was no witness, it likely was you were going to be able to rob that person and get away with their stuff, and nobody would be any the wiser. I mean, there was no police force, there were no detectives, there were no jails. If nobody saw you, essentially, as far as the wicked were concerned, you were home free. Of course, Heavenly Father would know, and your eternity would be damned, but a lot of people just tried to pretend that that didn't matter. In verse 8, a man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart, meaning deceitful or wicked, shall be despised. And people will know whether or not you're telling them the truth, the things that matter, the things that are sincere. I like this one too. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoureth himself and lacketh bread. We're not talking about better in terms of righteousness here. We're talking about being self-righteous. The person who honors himself is self-righteous. And if he says, oh, I'm wonderful, I'm great, I'm better than anybody else, and he doesn't even have bread to eat, then he is not as well off as the person he thinks he's better than, who has a servant and is blessed enough to support both him and the servant. That's the context of that one. Verse 10, a righteous man regardeth the life of his beast. So if you had a mule or a donkey, a righteous man understands how to look after that animal and is tender with it. But the tender mercies, in quotation marks, in other words, the way the wicked treat his animals would be just plain cruel. He wouldn't care how the animal was treated, even if it was fed. In verse 13, the wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips. In other words, those people who are wicked tend to lie about not being wicked, and the more they talk, the more they prove that they are. Now, verse 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. In other words, not all of us are going to be perfect all of the time. We're going to need somebody who can point out to us where we can improve. And those people who are fools are always right in their own eyes. Nothing they ever do is imperfect. Everything they do is absolutely the way it's supposed to be, and nobody else knows what they're talking about except them. We're talking here, a fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. In other words, it basically goes, there's another one on here where it says, verse 23, a prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. A prudent man, when it says concealeth knowledge, doesn't mean hides things. He does not broadcast the bad news he might know about somebody else. So if he learns something that basically says this other person was foolish or silly or something bad happened to him, he doesn't spread it around. But the heart of fools proclaimeth this and basically says, ha ha, look at what happened to so-and-so. He did this, he did that, this happened to them. That's what fools do. Heaviness in the heart, 25, maketh it to stoop. In other words, when people are sad, they tend to be downcast, they tend to be sad. But a good word, some encouragement from you to somebody who's having a tough time can make their heart glad and can make a great deal of difference in their lives. I know I've had that happen to me, as people have told me that something I have done has been really appreciated, and I've tremendously appreciated that. It has made an enormous difference in how I have felt and what I wanted to do. And the same will apply to you.